What is going on, everybody, man? King Recon here. You see the title. The time has come, man. I listened to what y'all told me. After we did the poll results video, I asked if anybody would like to see like a personal top 10 video, and a lot of y'all said yes. So I was like, you know what? Let's go in like somewhere and do it. And what better time than now? Because I believe the manga is going to be on break for 2 weeks, and I'm really in the mood to talk about the awesome sauce, man. So without further ado, let's get right into it and talk about the greatness, the phenomenal Hara Yasuhisa's legendary work about the Warring States period in China, known as the one and the only, the best-selling seinen manga at this point in time. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be talking about that Kingdom, man. That felt good. That felt good because I finally was able to record a Kingdom video in broad daylight. And I don't have to worry about not yelling because it's nighttime, man. So I really want to thank all of y'all for voting on the poll results, even though that was a couple of months ago now, but I really do appreciate it because I was able to see a lot of your insight into what your favorite chapters are and whatnot. And it was really cool just being able to see what a lot of your favorite moments, favorite chapters, because a lot of people base their favorite chapters on their favorite moments, and or they look at the entire chapter and say, okay, I like this chapter better than this chapter because of its entirety, of the entire chapter, not just one moment. And it's cool seeing like different opinions and different lists. So I appreciate everybody who was a part of that, man. But yo, dude, coming up with this was hard because there's so many amazing moments, but I really wanted to do it now because I'm planning on rereading Kingdom in its entirety. Like, I've reread a lot of the series in individual sections. Like, the Battle of Sai, I've reread probably as much. If I were to take the amount of time that I've reread the Battle of Sai and like transition that to another manga, I probably could have read an entire 5 new mangas just based on how much I've reread the Battle of Sai. So you're gonna see a lot of coalition on here, all right? But soon I want to reread the entire series. I really do. I want to go back from the beginning and just do one full reread because I have not done one full reread of the entire series yet, and it's a shame because I've been caught up since at the end of 2017. So it's been quite some time, almost 2 years. But I wanted to do it now. I'm in the mood to do it now, so I'm going to be rereading Kingdom very, very soon. And that's why I decided this is the best time for me to make this video, because I would be able to record my thoughts on what my favorite chapters are now, based on memory, compared to another top 10 list or whatever my favorite chapters are after I finish rereading the manga. Because what always happens with me in these series are that during my first initial read of the series, I have like certain chapters that I really, really love that are my creme de la creme favorite chapters in the entire series. But in other times, whenever I go back and reread certain arcs or reread the entire series and I remember certain portions I really love, I'll write it down and be like, yo, man, this is a top 10 worthy chapter. This happened to me a lot with One Piece. It's happened to me with Hunter x Hunter, with Berserk, with JoJo. So it tends to happen quite a lot on the rereads that I find certain gems that I didn't really remember where I'm like, man, that chapter was amazing. And I hope that to have a lot of that whenever I go back and reread the entire series. It's going to be much harder next time I decide to come on here and do a list like this, just based on the fact that I'm going to have a lot more. My memory will be more refreshed because a lot of the stuff I haven't read since like 2016. You know what I'm saying? So it's been a minute. But I just really want to do this, man. Just talk about the greatness. Get all this off my chest, bro. Because it's the Kingdom awesome sauce, man. Who doesn't want to talk about the Kingdom greatness? Well, if you're caught up, at least, you know. Don't watch this video if you're not caught up. You feel me? But yeah, man. I should probably give a spoiler warning for that first. You know, even if you're watching this video and you've never read Kingdom, read Kingdom, man. Please, I beg of you, read the greatness. This manga won the Judges Award. I read it the other day. It won it was one of the prizes. Was it the Tezuka prize? It was one of them back in 2012. And it won this prize because one of the judges stated the reason why he voted for Kingdom is that he did not remember the last time that he read 30 manga volumes successfully back to back to back because he was just so into it. because he was so addicted to it that he couldn't stop reading. That's what one of the judges said. Probably a judge that's read thousands of manga. If not, he wouldn't be a judge. This man said, I can't remember the last time I was this addicted to a manga. Read The Kingdom Greatness, man. But without further ado, let's get right into it and talk about some honorable mentions first. Now, this is what I mean whenever I say that it's been a minute and I do not remember certain portions as well as other ones. So, my first honorable mention, because this particular portion, without question, is in my top 10. I can't think of a particular chapter because I haven't gone back and reread that part of the series. And I'm waiting to reread it whenever I go back and reread the entire series. But the portion that I'm talking about is the Ryofui and Sei stuff. I absolutely adore that stuff. It's in the early 400s. Like the whole beginning part of the I believe that arc ended like in chapter 437, 438, 440, somewhere around there. But from like 400, like right after the Earl Shi, after like all that stuff, you know, with Ohun and Moten, we went into that arc with Sei and with Ryofui. And that entire arc right there, to me, is an honorable mention because, like I said, I haven't reread it since I read it that first time. But what I do know is that there's a couple of chapters in there that, without question, like there's some moments that stick up in my mind where I'm like, this is a favorite chapter moment. This is like a top 10 chapter chapter or moment, but I don't remember. So, but I remember really, really, really loving that part of the series as much as I enjoy like my favorite parts of the series. So maybe one day, if I look at like a favorite Kingdom arcs, after my reread, that's probably gonna be really high up there. I loved that arc, man. There was one particular chapter that I remember. Yeah, I think it was 430 or 429, where it was whenever Shin picked up Sei's daughter and was like, "Yo, I'm your dad's best buddy." I'll never forget that panel, dog. I'll never forget that. That is one of the most beautiful panels ever. But that by itself is GOAT. But specifically with the Sei and Ryofui stuff and how their ideologies would clash, those chapters, man, they were so good. I just don't remember the specific chapters, man. So that's why they are honorable mentions. And then, or that entire arc's an honorable mention. Whenever I do the reread of the series, you better believe that's going to be on the list. And then the other honorable mention is at the beginning of the Seikyo Rebellion arc. If y'all remember, whenever the Heishin unit, whenever they came up in like swimwear, post-time skip, ready to go ham, and you just saw them, their flag waving high, you saw everybody for the first time post-time skip. I loved those chapters so much, bro. I truly did, man. I always love whenever series do post-time skips well, especially the first few chapters. I love that entire Seikyo Rebellion arc, but those chapters in particular, man, they were insanely GOAT. So honorable mention to that batch of chapters and to the Ryofui and Sei stuff. Because I'm telling you right now, man, when I go back and reread the series, a chapter from the Ryofui and Sei stuff will be in the top 10. I really love that part of the series. But regardless, here we go, man. Let's go into the top 10. These are chapters that immediately pop up into mind whenever I think of favorite Kingdom chapters. They just immediately like, yo, this right here was GOAT. This right here was GOAT. This right here was legendary. This right here was crazy. This was GOAT. This was fire. So I based this on personal enjoyment, how it impacted me, whether this moment elevated my love for the series, just stuff like that. So let's go ahead and start here with number 10. This one right here is a really, really fun moment. One that I always look back on and to what differentiates Kingdom from other series for me. And it's in this incredible character right here, man. In chapter 481, comes in at number 10. Kanki, bro. Kanki, dog. I don't even know if I can explain how I felt when I first looked over and saw this man's masterpiece. His art. His sick, demented piece of art in chapter 481. When you turn the page and see the double page spread, it is one of the most sickening things you will ever see. But I'll tell you what, it really made me love Kanki even more than I already did. And this was in an arc to where things were going into heads. You know, they had some emotional Bihei stuff. In that arc, there was a lot of stuff that would really make you, because I love the Heishin unit so much, it's like, man, and I love them more than I do Kanki. But then when I saw that chapter, when I saw chapter 481, as a fan of villains, as a fan of characters like this, fans of characters that don't give a flying flag nards, a true savage in Kanki, when I read this chapter, it brought me back down to who I truly am, a person that loves villains. And I was like, yo, Conky is a G! He's a GOAT! So when I saw that, I was like, nah, man, this is incredible. I love this character so much. And this is why it's in my top 10. Because in the middle of that arc, in the middle of all of that insanity, where there was some portions right there, man, where I really wanted to hit Conky. As much as I love him, I really wanted to punch him because of certain stuff that was going down. But when you can bring me back down to earth with a chapter like this, and really remind me why it is that Conky's a GOAT, it deserves a spot in the top 10, man. It really, really does. So coming in number 10, chapter 481, aka Conky's Masterpiece, man. Now, coming in number 9 is the only tie on this list, and it's because they happened just recently, but they were massive moments, so I just felt like that I needed to include them here in this list. And that is chapters 579 and chapters 598. 579, of course, is the chapter whenever Shin gives his legendary speech, his promo, his babyface promo of legend, to hype up every single member of the Heishin unit. And Ohan did it as well, but that was in 580. But specifically talking about Shin right here, we had been seeing his growth throughout the entire arc so far. But when I saw this moment right here, man, I was like, Shin, put me in the game. Put me in the game right here. Bro, I would have fought an entire battle for Shin, a whole war. After this speech right here, I was like, Shin, baby, I'm taking it. You will be the great general of the heavens, and I'm going to make sure of it, dog. I'm going to make sure of it, man. I wanted to go fight for him, bro. Who wouldn't have? Amazing, absolutely incredible speech. One of my favorite promos in the whole series because it came straight from the heart, man, and it was so good. There's been so many great Heishin unit moments in this current arc that we're in right now, but that was incredible. And then 598, son, this right here, if Gintama did not deliver, my favorite chapter possibly ever. Gintama this year, it released a certain chapter before, like in the finale portions, that I consider probably my favorite chapter in that series, and honestly, a true contender for one of my favorite chapters ever. Like, ever, dude. If Gintama didn't release that, this would probably be my favorite chapter of the year, chapter 598. Just the build-up from a chapter you're damn sure going to see later on in this list, in 499. From that moment until then, it was so beautiful, man. Just the way that everything was built up. Then you had the stuff with Shosa, and the Heishin unit, truly believing in Shin. And you had all that build-up in that very same volume from like chapter 590 all the way to 598, just within that section. I mean, you can go back to chapter 579 and say it goes all the way back then. But in those parts right there, man, with the true core members of the Heishin unit, and just how emotional that was, and all the build-up to Shin versus Chogaryu, and whenever he actually managed to take him out, the flashbacks with Chogaryu in his past, Shin, and whenever Shin went to swing down with the glaive, finally, even with a horrific injury, Shin goes right down with the glaive and says, screw all that, and pawns him, bro, a great general in the heavens. And it was just so amazing to me, man, because you wanted it. You wanted it so bad after everything that had just taken place. Amazing, amazing stuff. Truly, like I said before, one of my favorite chapters that have come out this year, man. Amazing, absolutely incredible chapter. And it just continues to show me, it's hard, bro, because I'm a Kyokai tard, right? I really, really am. I love Kyokai, dog. Kyokai, to me, is just, in terms of this entire medium, Kyokai is one of my favorite characters. In the medium. I mean, she's just such an amazing character. But Shin is like right there, especially after 598. Yo, this man Shin is right here. Like, he's right under Kyokai, bro. By the time this arc finishes, I'm gonna be honest with you, Shin might overtake. It's hard, though, because I really love Kyokai. I love them both equally. If they could share a spot, they would share a spot. But after that chapter, man, with him and Chogaryu finally swinging down that glaive, and even with everything, bro, this man had been wounded to flipping flagnars, but because of everything that had just happened, he knew he was feeling the burden, the weight of a general, and with that weight, even with all of that coming down upon him, he still said, screw all that, I'm the man who's gonna be a great general of the heavens, and not just on my own, but with my Heishin unit. Yeah. Love that chapter, man. Let's continue. So once again, number 9 goes to 579, Shin's promo and 598, which is the finale of Shin versus Chogaryu. Amazing stuff, man. But it's more recent, so of course I wanted to keep it on the bottom half of the list because it's more recent. So of course I'm still in the hype of that moment. So, but regardless, we'll continue with coming in number 8 is one of the most emotional chapters in the entire series. This is another chapter that whenever I look back on as to reasons why I really love this series, this chapter comes up into mind. This was originally my top 5, but when thinking about it, I wanted to separate it in like a certain structure. And whenever I thought about the other ones, I just enjoy them just a wee bit more, because these chapters are like this right next to each other, man. Because there's so many great Kingdom chapters. But coming in at number 8 is chapter 377, which is Seikyo's death. You know, when I first saw Seikyo in the original Invasion arc back in the beginning of the series, I would never have imagined that Hara was gonna make him such, and that he was gonna redeem him in the way that he redeemed him. The Seikyo Rebellion arc. You know, I say the Kyokai Revenge arc was the perfect transition for the Coalition saga and to get out of there. You know, getting off of an amazing arc like that to go into the Kyokai Revenge arc was perfect. But after the Kyokai Revenge arc and going off of that high to go into the Seikyo Rebellion arc, it was the perfect post-time skip arc for me, because it showcased not only what our characters have learned and from a combat standpoint, but also how they've matured. But also took us back to the beginnings with how we got here in the first place with Seikyo. And seeing how Seikyo's changed, and how Seikyo's changed because of what's been taking place around him. And, you know, I love that entire arc, and that's why I'm really looking forward to going back and doing this reread, because I absolutely adored that saga. I think I read it in one sitting too. But I just adored that particular chapter 377, I think it was. It was either 377 or 378. One of those two. But it's the Seikyo's death chapter. I think it's 377. But that chapter, I just never would have imagined whenever I started the series that I would have teared up for Seikyo of all people. But I just couldn't help it, man. And then the way the panels were structured, with them running down those steps, man, to finally make it toward him. And when they finally made it there, dog, and he's delivering those words, man, I mean, it's some of the most heart-wrenching stuff that you will see in the series, bro. Dead serious, dog. Absolutely beautiful stuff. And bye, Flagnards. Bye, Flagnards, man. Kingdom greatness, but Seikyo, dude, rip to a real one. To a real one, dog. I mean, Kingdom deaths hurt. They hurt a lot, but I never expected to feel that way for Seikyo, bro. And the fact that Hara was able to make me feel that way over Seikyo, what an amazing character arc for that dude, you know. So that's number 8 for me. Coming in at number 7, on a more hype and lighter note. Where's the hat at? Where's the hat? This right here, when I think about most hype moments in manga, when I think about the most hype moments in this entire medium, when I think about the most hype moments that I've ever seen, you gotta come here and talk about coming in at number 7, chapter 346, aka when Yotanwa and the squad, when Yotanwa and the mountain tribe, when Baggio and Yotanwa and the gang show up in the Battle of Sai and say, hold, we're gonna hold this down. Not only that, but all troops, it's time for a bloodbath. That moment, almost every single other chapter in here, I have it because of its entire chapter. This moment by itself solidified it had to be somewhere on this list. I don't think I've ever. Let's see, that's hard because no. It's definitely no, yeah, 100%. One day, if I ever sit down and make a top 5 most hype moments, this is in there without question. Without question. There's other moments that are equally as hype and are just a little under, maybe a little bit above. But in Kingdom, son, no, I don't know, man. I don't know, yo. There's been a bunch of GOAT moments, but this one right here, when you want to talk about just one page in Kingdom, man, I can't even begin to explain. I mean, if y'all saw the reaction, you know, you know, son, dog. When Yotanwa told the entirety of the mountain tribe, all troops. She didn't say some troops. She didn't say the captains. She didn't say fodder guy to the right, fodder guy to the left. She wasn't on some Command and Conquer stuff. She wasn't on StarCraft 2. She didn't just press L1 and R1. She didn't press any of that. She pressed the entire board, moved every piece, and said, all troops, it's time for a bloodbath, bro. Anyone says that's facing me, I might run. Are you? It's somebody of that caliber, the goddess of death, the god of death. Yotanwa? And the fact that we had not seen her in so long. I mean, bro, when you see her in that double page spread and she pops up out of nowhere, Now screw that, bro. It's the entire chapter. It's not even just that one. The entire chapter, because you're leading into it, and everything looks so bad. Rebecca's getting high. Everybody's getting high. Like, yeah, everything. They show up last minute, and you're like, goodness gracious. Seriously, man, this to me is on the same level. I don't know if y'all never watched One Piece, then or read One Piece, then you'll understand. But there's a certain part in an arc called Marineford at the end when a certain character that you almost never see shows up. And that to me is, in the same way that this moment is one of my favorite hype moments ever, that one is too. And it just gave me that same vibe. To where goats come in and end wars. Alright? Goats come in and end wars. And that's what Yotanwa did. Yotanwa came in and in 5 chapters ended the entire battle. The entire battle. And that's why it comes in here at number 7. Truly, one of the most hype moments I've ever experienced. It's time for the bloodbath. What more needs to be said? What more needs to be said, man? Absolute greatness. Now, coming in at number 6, the next 3 were really hard for me because these are neck to neck. 6, 5, and 4. They're neck to neck and for different reasons. Number 6 and number 5 are so close. They are so close, man. But I had to go with one over the other based on impact for me as a Kingdom fan, impact on this channel, and impact on how things would go from there on out. I'm more biased towards one of these chapters because one of them is how I started the journey to this channel. And that's the reason why I had to put it just a wee bit higher. And, you know, it's one of those things to where, you know, I can't help but put in bias from a YouTube standpoint. I can't help it. If it wasn't for that chapter, I don't know if I would have done Kingdom reactions. You know, but we'll talk about that next. Coming in at number 5, or I'm sorry, at number 6. Coming in at number 6. So close, man. But coming in at number 6 is chapter 325, aka Duke Hyo's finale, man. Don't ever let your fire burn out. This right here, I've teared up many times while reading Kingdom. But this right here is one that sticks out to me over so many moments in Kingdom where I teared up. Because you lived with Duke Hyo for so long. And you know how much Shin looked up to him, bro. And he was just such a beast, man. He was such a great character. But Duke Hyo, man. I mean, the whole build-up to this was amazing. But the actual finale, when even while dying, still manages to say that to Shin. Duke Hyo. Don't ever let your fire die out. Shit, lad. I get teary-eyed just thinking about it, bro. Like, moments like that is why I wish Kingdom had an anime. Can you imagine if Kingdom had a good anime? Done by Wit Studio or like Madhouse or someone of that caliber to where that moment gets done with amazing music, the flashbacks, the tears, the voice acting. Don't ever let your fire die out. Greatness, greatness. And this leads into my number 5. I was thinking about it so hard because I love both these moments for different reasons. But like I said, one of them had a longer lasting impact on me as a Kingdom fan. And coming in number 5 is chapter 172, which is Oki's death. Duke Hyo went out in an incredible way and delivered one of the most incredible final panel speeches I've ever seen. But Oki, on the other hand, because his came first, and because this was the first bit of chapters that I reacted to, it has a special place in my heart, man. It really does. Because you don't often get to see stuff like this and feel stuff like this. You know, I thought Oki was going to be a character that was going to last the entire journey. I always saw Oki as that type of character that would be with the us as viewers and or as readers, but also with Shin throughout the entire journey. I saw him as the teacher. I saw him as the one that would train him and get him through a lot of the stuff. So when all this was going down, it was absolutely insane to me. I mean, God, man, that bio stuff was good. I can't wait to reread that arc. But that chapter in particular, I'll just never forget Oki having the free will in his own heart to go out and choose the place that he died. And the way that he died was so glorious, man. I mean, saying his final words to Mobu, saying him over here, we're here. The apologies, bro, it's so emotional. But then youngster Shin, he tosses the glaive at him, bro, and then delivers on the goat speech. And then he dies, man. I will never forget that panel. Just that striking final image of Oki on his horse, not falling, not leaning over here, not leaning over there. And one of the most powerful and impactful death scenes ever, dude. Flipping amazing stuff, man. Absolutely incredible stuff. And it's really what, I mean, I was already hooked on Kingdom and I was already enjoying it a lot. But after that chapter, I told myself, and if somebody ever tells me to react to Kingdom again, I'm reacting to Kingdom. And of course, the next reaction I did after that was chapter 212. And then I did from like from up in like the 220s up until I caught up. So, but I never would have done videos for Kingdom had it not been for, I think it was chapters 168 to 172. And then that flash, and then in the middle of the flash where you saw Kyo, bro, that one panel with Kyo and Oki. Oki, man, I miss Oki, bro. Oki's still one of my goats. Oki and Kyo, 2 legends that just led Shin down the path where he is today, man. That's why these moments were so close to me, because I was like, which one impacted more? And it's like Hyo's is more recent. And like that final line just hurts so much. But Oki, dog, it's connected to one of my favorite moments in the series, which we'll talk about later. But gosh, man, chapter 172 is absolutely amazing, and that's why it comes in here at number 5. Now, this top 4, see, it's really tough because I really wanted to have like a chapter like that Oki chapter and the Hyo chapter higher. But I think I couldn't put them above these 4 because these 4 to me, whenever I think back to why I have Kingdom in my top 5 favorite manga of all time, I think back to these 4 chapters. Because these 4 chapters are about the characters. These 4 chapters go into why it is that this right here is my stuff. Why this is my jam. Why this is the greatness to me, bro. Some of them are connected to previous chapters, which it makes them even greater. But some of these are just pure on horror awesome sauce. And stuff that makes Kingdom truly special. And one of those, coming in number 4, is chapter 330. Chapter 330. One of the greatest promos, speeches, whatever you want to call it, long quotes, don't matter. Sei delivering that speech to the people of Sai is one of the greatest moments in this entire series. Period, bar none, end of discussion. I wish I could have this moment even higher. The final panel of this chapter is Kingdom to me. It is kingdom to me. This man, the goat himself, Sei, with his armor, going straight down the city, the walkways of the city, bro. After delivering this godly speech, dog. Sei's speech. After he delivered that speech, man, I wanted to go fight for him, bro. I was like, yo, put me in the game, Sei, bro. Seriously, I wanted to go time travel back in time. Go all the way to 200 BC. And be like, yo, Sei, let me fight for you, dog. Man, at the time in the video, I think I was shirtless, so I would have to be a shirtless Recon. But, dog, I would have done it. I would have been like, screw it, man. I don't need any armor. Just put me in the game. Just put me in, like, swimwear. I don't care. What do you want me to do? You want me to be an archer? You want me to be a strategist? Do you want me to go out there and just fight? You want me to go die? Sei, tell me what you want me to do. Tell me, you want me to deliver a letter to somebody? I'll do anything you want me to do, dog. After that speech, I became a Sei-tard. I have never seen a that man became a king to me after that chapter. He had always been a king, but after that chapter, the man became a king. A king. Like, this man became a king. God almighty, dude. There are certain speeches, like that incredible Shin speech that happened just recently. But I don't think any speech or any promo in this series has matched that one. Not from what I can remember. My goodness, bro. And it's just one of those chapters that makes Kingdom truly feel special, bro. Because it's one of the like, other series can do it, because other series have done it. But because of the way the series is, the type of series that it is, a chapter like this is huge. It's massive. And it's one of those, when I think back to Kingdom, Sei speech. Always think of it. It is Kingdom to me, and it elevated this series to such a... I mean, the Coalition Saga was already really high up there for me. I mean, there was so many great moments, like with Hyo, Mobu versus Kanmei. Up until that moment, we had all these characters all in one place. Everything was going down. It was absolutely insanity. But that moment, man, after Sei's speech, from there until the end of the arc, I was like, yo, I don't care what happens from here on out. This arc is in my top 5, bro. Just based on that moment alone. I really wanted to go fight for this man, bro. Real deal. I was like, yo, enlist me in the army right now. Let's do this. Say no more. Let's go into, like, swimwear, dog. But absolutely amazing stuff, man. That's a Santa Hat level chapter right there, bro. That's a Santa Hat level chapter. But then here we go into the top 3, man. Coming in number 3 is by far, and it's not even close, my most reread chapter in the series. I went on a trip. I think it was the summer of 2017, I think it was. I went on a trip back to my homeland. I mean, I hadn't been in a long time. And so on the plane, because planes are my thing. So on the plane, in order to distract myself, I read a lot of Kingdom. I reread this entire arc. But there was one chapter that I reread so many times on that trip. And that was chapter 350. This chapter right here is Shin versus Hoken. In one chapter, Hara gave us why Shin is our MC, everything that had been building up until this very moment, from the beginning of the series until now, with Oki, with Hyo, with all the characters that had died up until this point in time, what it means to be a general, all that stuff, in one chapter. Some of the most gorgeous art you will ever see in any manga. I don't care what manga you read. You can read the most, from Inoue to Miura to whatever your favorite author is, man. There's a lot of great art styles, a lot of great, incredible stuff. Chapter 350 of Kingdom has some of the most gorgeous art I have ever seen in any chapter ever. And the reason why I say that is because it is really hard to draw combat. It is really hard to draw fluid combat, which is exactly why I praise Dragon Ball the way that I do in its manga. Because Dragon Ball always makes it so easy to know what is going down in the manga. That's not hard, and that is very, very hard to do. Very hard to pull off. It is easy to get lost in the sauce, especially in like, if you guys read a lot of manga, you know what I'm talking about. There's a lot of the time, whenever you're reading manga, certain manga, during a fight, it's hard to tell what's going on at times. Chapter 350 is not one of those chapters. Chapter 350 is like a movie inside of a comic. Chapter 350 is if somebody were to take snapshots of a movie, go frame by frame in the movie, and put them in a comic. Chapter 350 is what should be taught in a comic, writing, artist school. Of this is what you need to do. This is how you draw a battle sequence. This is how you draw a climax sequence. This is how you draw a final battle sequence. This is how you draw a MC versus antagonist boss. This is how you draw a protagonist versus antagonist scene. This is the perfect how-to chapter. And as somebody who is in that field, as somebody who is not only in that field but also have been in TV production for as long as I can remember, I appreciate this chapter so much more than it just being a regular manga chapter. This chapter is a masterpiece from a comic structure standpoint. This chapter in comic structure is one of the greatest chapters I've ever read. Panel structure, the perspective shots, the shots of the characters, the background, the emotional moments with Kyokai thinking back to Shin as he's slicing at Hoken, the intimidating panels of Hoken, Shin striking Adam, the horses. It's cinema in a comic. Dude, it is such 350. I don't know what horror was on that week, but it felt like I was watching a movie. And every time I go back and reread this chapter, it is a movie in comic form. It is a gorgeous chapter, and I want to put it higher, but the two chapters above it are why Kingdom's in my top 5. So I can't do it. What I can tell you is that behind the scenes aside, panel structure aside, the structure of the comic and the layout of the page, and the way that the art is done, the cohesiveness of and the everything goes and transitions so perfectly from page to chapter to panel to panel to panel to panel. Everything that aside, this chapter, when I go back and think of 172 and 325 with Dukyo's death and Oki's, and I think back to what I'd always wanted to see, and I think back to how badly I wanted to see Shin have that shot again at Hoken, because we knew it was going to come eventually. And when Hoken actually ended up in front of him this one time again, and Shin managed to fight him head on and not get fodderized, it's one of the most beautiful experiences ever, man. You're like, yo, Shin, you can do it. Pwn him, bro. Pwn him for Oki. Pwn him for Dukyo. And it's like all the emotions and everything that you have felt up until the series at this point in time. And this is coming, like I said, from a villain tard. I love villains. Most of the time I love villains more than RMCs, but not in Kingdom. In Kingdom, my two favorite characters are Kyokai and Shin. The he-Shin unit is my number 1. I don't care who's in front of them, even when it comes to legends like Konki, right? And a Broly type of hype beast like Hoken that I just love because of the strength and the hockey that they let out. Even in the midst of Hoken and what had gone down, I just remembered everything that had been going down with Oki and with that entire story and with Hyo, and I just wanted Shin to go in like Soma. I wanted him to prove. I wanted Shin to say, I am here and you will see what I'll become. In this battle, I may not win, but you will see the potential of what I will become, bro. And it's just... Chapter 350 is to me, it is a perfect chapter. You know, I know such a thing is blasphemy to say, because to a lot of people, there's no such thing as perfection. To me, there are certain instances of that. And when I think of, instead of using perfection, I would say pinnacle. When I think of, or at least that I've read so far, of course, because I still haven't experienced a lot of, but for me, all right, for me, as somebody who, I may not have read as much manga as y'all or other people, but for all the manga that I've read, chapter 350, I think might be the single... I can't say that, because Gintama chapters 514 to 520 still hold that title to me, in terms of perfection in comic form. But chapter 350 is on that same level, at least when it comes to representing almost everything in the series in one chapter. And I can't praise it enough for its panel layout, man, and its structure as a chapter. If I would have read that chapter weekly, and I would have had the opportunity to really had the time to dissect that chapter on a weekly basis, I probably would have done a reaction, then a discussion, and afterthoughts. But because I was in the middle of Coalition, I couldn't have done that. But chapter 350, one of these days, I'm going to sit down here on this channel and we're going to talk about it. We're going to go page by page, panel by panel, and I'm going to tell y'all exactly why I think it's a masterpiece of a chapter. But we'll move on. We'll move on, man. But yes, chapter 350 to me is without question one of the greatest chapters when it comes to how to show combat in comic form I have ever seen. Ever. 350 greatness, man. Absolutely love it. Now we're into top 2 territory. These two change for me all the time, but as of right now, this is my list. This is how I feel. So this is what I'm gonna go with. Coming in number 2 is the chapter that had been my number 1 for a long time, but after thinking about it, I know what my number 1 is. So my number 2 is my former number 1. And coming in number 2, a legendary chapter. One chapter that, when I think back on why it is that I hold Kingdom so high, and why it is that I have Kingdom so high, is chapter 499. Chapter 499, of course, is whenever Shin gets Ilki's glaive. But in the same way that chapter 350 takes everything that we had known up until that series, up until that point in time, and executed on in that chapter, in chapter 499, it took it to the next level, but not from a comic standpoint, not in terms of its panel layout or its panel structure or any of that. This time it's just about Shin. It's just about our main character. And we know and saw everything that our main character had gone through from the moment that Piao died up until and going through up until chapter 499. And I'll never forget just finishing that chapter, and it was one of those key moments to where, even though it was a happy moment, an incredible moment, I couldn't help but let out tears. Because to me, that chapter was right under what I'm expecting to see whenever Shin becomes a general. Because, and especially when he becomes a great general, but just a general. Shin actually having and using Oki's glaive is so massive and huge for the story of Kingdom, man. And the fact that he feels like he's ready to be able to use it now, before this battle, was so beautiful to me, man. Whenever he brings it out, I just think back to Oki, think back to everything that he's learned, how he's matured, how he's grown. And the fact that looking back on this chapter now, it's even better because of what has happened in this arc. You think about this entire arc and you see Shin's growth as a person, as a leader. And it was first alluded to back in chapter 499. And what we were going to be getting in this arc, seeing Shin's true growth. But man, when he received that glaive, it was just like whenever I saw the latest bounty poster for Luffy. And I just couldn't help but let out tears. Because, in One Piece's case, I've been with that series for so long, but with Kingdom, because I'd been reacting for so long, and it was such a long journey to get up until that point, I couldn't help but feel like I'd been weekly for 20 years. Because that's just how it felt. That's just how well the pacing was from the beginning of the series until now. That a moment like that hits. It hits hard. Seeing how far Shin had come from the beginning until now. And you see this, you see that his dream is within his grasp. The stuff that he talked about as just a fantasy back in the bio arc was actually something that's a reality that can happen. And it was just so beautiful to me, man. As somebody that's chasing their dreams, and I'm pretty sure that y'all can relate to this as well. But it's always beautiful and nice to see somebody come a step closer to achieving their dreams, because it inspires you to go out and chase yours too. And so that's why chapter 499 for me was my favorite for so long. But now it comes in number 2, man. It's an amazing chapter. Shin is RMC, and he's a legend, man. But coming in at number 1, without question, I don't know if I could have put anything else in the spot. Before I say my number 1, though, I just want to say that along with the Rifui and Sei stuff, another arc that it's different because I have reread it multiple times, but I just can't pick a particular portion of the arc that I would pick to put in this list, is the Kyokai Revenge arc. The Kyokai Revenge arc is, and this isn't my number 1 by the way, but it'll lead into the number 1. The Kyokai Revenge arc as a whole, I absolutely love. I just don't know which one of those chapters I would have put on this list. You know what I'm saying? But with that being said, my number one is the chapter that takes place right after the Kyokai Revenge arc. My number one is chapter 364. This chapter is why Kingdom is one of my favorite manga. This chapter is why Kingdom for me, or this chapter solidified Kingdom as one of my goats, that will probably remain one of my goats for as long as I continue to do videos on YouTube. You know, I had been thinking about what I was going to do, and this is just on a personal note. I had been thinking about what I was going to do with Kingdom. Y'all remember? I did an update video saying, what do y'all want me to do after Kingdom ends? And after the Coalition Saga ended, of course I did the Kyokai Revenge arc. I think it was the following day, too. But after that, I was like, man, do I really want to continue catching up to the series through reactions? Because it's going to take me a long time. You know, this isn't something that could just happen immediately. But then I thought back on the journey after reading this chapter. Because chapter 364, when Kyokai returns back to the Heishin unit, and you have my favorite page in the entire series, which is whenever Kyokai says the two things that she's going to do now that she's returned. That is, number one, become a general, number two, bear Shin's child. Shout out to Shin and Kyokai for being the OTP. My favorite relationship in the whole series. But on a serious note, after finishing that chapter and just seeing the camaraderie and how much the Heishin unit love each other, and after finally getting Kyokai back after she had been absent for that arc, I just can't even begin to explain how I felt on the inside, where I said I have to react to the series until I catch up. Or maybe until the series ends. Because after 364, I realized that I love this main cast just as much as I love my other favorite main cast that I cover on the channel. As much as the Straw Hats, as much as the Yorozuya, as much as the Steel Ball Run, or whatever the case may be. Even though that'll be whenever the anime comes out, or if I decide to make videos on it in the future. But specifically for series that I cover on the YouTube channel, when I thought about my favorite casts and casts that I want to talk about and follow their journeys, after chapter 364, I really truly came to realization that my favorite characters and my favorite part about the series, as awesome as the strategies are, as awesome as the emotion moments are, as awesome as the concepts and the ideologies brought up in the series are, how realistic it is, its incredible characters, the incredible fighting scenes, the emotional scenes, the great character moments, everything that Hara's so good at. At the end of the day, the Heishin unit is my favorite part of the series. Whether it's their moments and situations that happens with the characters, situations and stuff that goes down with certain characters that I'm even a part of the main the main 10 Shin and Kyokai, you know, for everyone else, like our Biheis or Shosas and whatnot. And just thinking back to that chapter, it really is what changed Kingdom for me in my mind. Because up until that point in time, Kingdom, I had loved it a lot, but it was just like I loved so many different things about it. After I read 364, I was like, now there was a structure. I love this series because the Heishin unit. Because for me, my biggest thing in any series I watch or read is characters. If the characters are great, any story they're put in, I can follow it. And after 364, after realizing how much I love the Heishin unit, whenever Kyokai came back home, I said, I'll follow. I don't give a damn what Hara writes in the future. I will follow it because the Heishin unit will be a part of it. And that's why it comes in number one. Because of so many different things, of course, but that right there, man. And on the trollish side, like I said, having Kyokai say that she's gonna bear my man Jin's child, and first of all, that's the funniest moment in the whole series, bar none. That's one of the funniest moments in all of manga. But just having her, on a serious note, having her coming back home, it was one of the most emotional moments, man. Because it had been so long. And then to follow that up with Mogo, and of course with chapter 365, which is another phenomenal chapter. And honestly, I think those two chapters together is just what my favorite is. Because Mogo's death, and then having like that chapter start off with the 6 generals. Yo, that chapter was gold. And then Mogo's final speech and everything, that was fantastic. But chapter 364, man, it changed it all for me, like I said. I don't know if I would be doing videos today. I don't know if I would feel the same way I do about Kingdom today had this chapter not happened. because this chapter, like I said, truly showed me just how much I love our main cast. And how I'm going to follow them until Shin becomes the Great General of Heavens and beyond. And beyond, man. So this chapter has a special place in my heart for so many different reasons. But that core concept is why it comes in at number 1, man. Because it's more about everything I had just previously stated. This one gets as simple and to the point on why it is that I love the Heishin unit, which is, in turn, my favorite aspect of Kingdom, which is its characters. But with that being said, man, this has been my top 10 favorite Kingdom moments, it is my top 10 favorite Kingdom chapters. Top 10 favorite Kingdom chapters. I want to do this video now because, like I said before, I'm going to do a reread of the series, and when I do a reread of the series, I'm pretty sure this list is going to be very, very different than what it is right now. I'm mainly going based on memory and on stuff that I've reread and on stuff that really impacted me throughout my first initial experience of the series and on certain parts that I've reread. If you're thinking about why certain things are missing or why certain things are not on the list that you remember me really enjoying, it's because I don't remember certain things, man. You know, I haven't experienced a lot of stuff for a second time. So when I do a reread of the series, I might come back and do this again. Maybe call it a top 10 favorite chapters after reread or something like that. Now, this reread, I'm not going to rush through it, of course. I'm going to take my time and read through it and maybe take some notes and talk about, you know, in certain parts through a reread. But I really want to do this now because I felt like it was a perfect time before a reread, and also since the manga's going to be on break for 2 weeks, so we can sit down and talk about the greatness and the awesome sauce of Hara Yasuhisa's kingdom. Because I feel like one thing that I felt whenever I was looking through all of your lists wasn't, whenever you turn in your list, wasn't, the thing that I didn't feel was, oh man, like, this guy has this in number 1, why doesn't he have this in number 1? Or this guy has this in the top 5? I didn't feel that way at all. Well, looking through your top 5, I saw certain moments and I was like, yeah, that was gold. Or I'd see another chapter and be like, yo, I forgot about that, or something like that. I always had those responses. But that to me just shows that this man, Hara, has created some incredible stuff, bro. Some incredible chapters, and we look forward to seeing what more greatness he pulls out in the future, because from what it looks like, we're definitely going to be getting a lot more chapters that are going to be top 10 worthy in the future. From what I've seen in this arc, and from what I've read in this arc, I had to put in 2 of them as a tie here in the top 10, because there's just been so much greatness in this arc, man. And so, man, dude, that's like what Osen did at the end of that last chapter. But anyways, I hope everybody has an awesome sauce of a day, man. If you would like to leave your top 10 again, if you revised it, or if you just want to put it again for the sake of putting it, feel free to put it, man. There's no harm in sharing our love for Kingdom. This is why this video exists. It's to talk about what we love about Kingdom and our favorite moments, because at the end of the day, we come on here to talk about what we love, and I damn sure love me some Kingdom, man. I really, really do, dog. It's the awesome sauce, it's the greatness, and I'm so glad I got into it. And going back to chapter 172, I gotta thank y'all for telling me to react to 168 and 172, because I never would have been on here without that, you know? I wouldn't be here doing this video without that. I wouldn't have gone on one of my favorite YouTube experiences, which was to catch up to Kingdom, all the way from that all the way up until now, and in the way that I did. Because at that point in time, I was just posting panels on Twitter and talking about certain things I really liked, but when I started doing it on YouTube, man, I was like, dog. That was such a cool experience, though, for me, because some people still to this day tell me that they have experienced Kingdom almost in its entirety alongside my vids. And that is one of the greatest compliments I think I've ever received, is that. And from what I have been with on here, I've seen that there's a lot of awesome Kingdom fans out there. And so I just want to thank y'all, man, from the bottom of my heart. I will see y'all next time. Everybody has an awesome sauce of a day. Take care. And I will see y'all next time for that Kingdom greatness whenever that chapter comes out, yo. Because I'm more than likely going to react to it, because there's just no way I can't after that cliffhanger. There's no way I can't, you know? So I'll see y'all next time. This has been the top 10 Kingdom chapters. I hope everybody has an awesome sauce of a day. Take care. Kingdom greatness.